Welcome to another video from Yusrael Ahad. Today we're going to be looking at a very important subject. It's the Seven Seals. As we are nearing the time of Jacob's trouble and the reign of the Antichrist, we need to understand the seals. So we're going to be breaking down the seals and looking at each individual seal and each component part of the seals, and just generally just trying to understand what Yahuwah has through his divine inspiration, the Ruach HaKodesh, has enlightened us with, or is going to enlighten us with. So I'm going to start by reading the first seal, or we might as well start reading all the seals first, and then begin to break them down. So as I look at Revelation chapter 6 and verse 1, it says here, and I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, "Come and see." And I saw and beheld a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, "Come and see." And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. It was given unto him a great sword. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see," and beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, "A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. See that you hurt not the oil and the wine." When he had opened the fourth seal, I heard a voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a power horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. Power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill the beasts of the earth. And when he had opened, actually it says here, over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. They cried with a loud voice, saying, "How long, O Yahuwah, holy and true, do not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth?" And white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brothers that should be killed as they were should be numbered or fulfilled. And I beheld, when he had opened the sixth seal, lo, there was a great earthquake. The sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. The stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree cast of her untimely figs, when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it was rolled together, and every mountain island were moved out of their places, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman and every freeman hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, "Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb, for the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand?" If we notice here that only 6 of the seals are actually covered. There's 7 seals, but Revelation 6 only covers 6. The reason being is that the 7th seal actually overlaps every other seal. It's like a recap, a summary and more detail is input. There's more input in the seventh seal about what takes place over the six seals. So the seventh overlaps every single one and gives us more detail. So in the first seal, it says here. Actually, I'm going to deal with the first and second seals together, so I believe they're closely related. So it says, and I saw, and when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder. Thunder is whenever there's thunder, God is about to speak. Even on Mount Sinai, there was thunder and lightning when God when he declared the 10 Commandments or the 10 words. So there was thunder, and the four beasts saying, "Come and see." And I saw and behold a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him. And he went forth conquering and to conquer. So let's try and break this down now. First of all, there's a white horse rider. I've heard many people say that, many commentators have commented and said that this white horse rider is the Antichrist. I disagree. I believe the white horse rider is an anointed person, a Mashiach, who is going to be anointed at the end of time to begin a ministry which will last for 3.5 years initially, and then once his work is done over the 3.5 year period, that will harvest souls in both houses of Israel. Initially his 3.5 year ministry, the first 3.5 year ministry, is directed at the house of Yehuda, and then the second phase, which takes place during the 3.5 year reign of the Antichrist, where the souls are harvested from the house of Ephraim. So there's two houses comprising of a 7-year work to seal the saints, or the set apart ones, from both houses of Israel. So this is why I said the seventh seal overlaps every other seal, because the work of the white horse and the red horse, they actually parallel the time when the two witnesses are going to be testifying for 3.5 years. So how can we see this now? It says here, "Beheld the white horse," verse 2, "and he that sat on him had a bow." Now you got a bowman. He's got a bow. So obviously a bow is no good unless you have arrows. So he's holding an empty bow. Therefore he has to go out and find bows for this arrow, find arrows for his bow. So we're going to look at a few chapters in the Bible which basically bring out what I'm trying to say. For instance, if we look at Zechariah chapter I do believe it's Zechariah chapter 10. Bear with me a minute, brethren. Zechariah chapter 10. Yes. Zechariah chapter 9 verse 13 brings this out. It says, "When I have bent Judah for me, and filled the bow with Ephraim, raised up thy sons, O Zion, against thy sons, O Greece, and made thee as the sword of a mighty man." Okay? We can clearly see that here. It's likening Judah to a bow, and it's likening Ephraim to the arrows. So we can clearly see here that this is what is being spoken about. Also, verse 4 of Zechariah 10 says, out of him came forth the corner, out of him the nail, out of him the battle bow, and out of him every oppressor together. So, and again, verse 14 says, chapter 9 of Zechariah, verse 14, in association with verse 13 says, and I'll read them together. When I have bent, verse 13 of Zechariah 9, when I have bent Judah for me, you know, it says, when I've bent Judah for me, you understand that? It's not just holding the bow. A bow, if a bow is not bent, in other words, you know, you have to flex the string. That's what it means to bend it, you know. When I have bent Judah for me, in other words, preparing the bow to receive the arrows. And this is the work, this is what work has to be done for Judah. Judah is the first, Yehudah is the first house in Israel to be prepared, which they will be the 144,000. They are the bow that's going to be prepared. In turn, they will go out and bring in the rest of the house. The lost houses of Israel, you know, the tribes, the house of Ephraim, which can be seen. Zechariah, I love Zechariah. If you read Zechariah 10:6, that's what it talks about. It says, "And I will strengthen the house of Yehudah, and I will save the house of Yosef, and I will bring them again to place them, for I have mercy upon them. They shall be as though I had not cast them off. For I am Yahuwah, their Elohim, their God." We like to use Elohim. And I will hear them. Verse 7, "And they of Ephraim, the house of Ephraim, shall be like mighty men. Their heart shall rejoice as through wine, the wine of truth. Yea, their children shall see it and be glad. Their heart shall rejoice." So we can see in verse 13 and 14 of chapter 9 of Zechariah. I'll read that again. So we can see, when I have bent Judah for me, filled the bow with Ephraim, raised up thy sons, O Zion. Both houses of Israel will comprise Zion against the sons of Greece. Greece, you know, it's typical of the not, you know, the culture of the world today. It's based on a Grecian Hellenic, you know, theories and religious and political and sports and all types of things, and music and theatre. This all dates back to ancient Greece. So today the world is being corrupted by all these Greek philosophies. So this is why God is likening the world as being Greece. Zion is to come against Greece, as in the former days when under the Maccabees, and they came against the typical antichrist of that day, which was Antiochus Epiphanes, the Greek ruler who desecrated the temple. So as you can see, the parallels and typologies and so forth. So verse 13 again, it says, of chapter 9 of Zechariah, "When I bent Judah for me, filled the bow with Ephraim, raised up thy sons, O Zion, against thy sons, O Greece, made thee as a sword of a mighty man. And Yahuwah," verse 14, "shall be seen over them, and his arrows," you see, the bow has to be filled with arrows, "shall go forth as lightning, and Yahuwah Elohim shall blow the trumpet, shall go forth with whirlwinds of the south." So, you know, I also want to turn to Psalm 45. Psalm 45. Here we see, I'm going to read from verse 1. "My heart is inditing a good matter. I speak of the things which I have made touching the king." This is the anointed rider who's going to be riding the horse. touching the king. My tongue is a pen of a ready writer. Thou art fairer than the children of men. Grace is poured into your lips. Therefore, Elohim hath blessed thee forever. Gird thy sword upon thy thigh, O Most Mighty, and with glory and majesty, thy majesty. Remember the red horse rider in Revelation chapter 6, the second seal. He had a sword, and he went for, it was take peace from the earth. And this has a dual meaning, really, because what takes peace from the earth is the truth. There was a verse in some, I don't know where it was, but the Gospels, where Yeshua, the Son of God, said, "I've not come to bring peace, but a sword. I've come to divide, set a mother against her daughter, a father against his son. Your greatest enemies shall be those, of your family or your house." So this verse 3, which says, "Gird thy sword upon thy thigh," this is the sword of truth. This is why the white horse rider and the red horse rider are sort of parallel of the time when, the sword and the bow. The sword is to cut asunder all the sinfulness and rebellion from the houses of Israel. This is why it says they shall kill one another, because that's what truth does. Truth will set the rebels against one another, and set rebels against those who want to obey Yahuwah. So here in verse 3 it says, "Gird thy sword upon thy thigh, O Most Mighty, and with thy glory and thy majesty, and in thy majesty ride prosperously because of truth." You see this? The horse rider is not the Antichrist. The red and, all these riders are, we will come to the Antichrist bit, but the first 3 horse riders are nothing to do with the Antichrist. They're to do with the sealing of Yahuwah's people in the houses. So see here, he rides prosperously because of truth and meekness and righteousness. Thy right hand shall teach thee terrible things. Thine arrows, you see, he harvests arrows. He's got a bow in Revelation chapter 6 verse 1. In Revelation chapter 6 verse 1 he has a bow. So it says in verse 5, "Thine arrows are sharp in the heart of the king's enemies, whereby the people fall under thee. Thy throne, O Elohim, is for ever and ever. The scepter of thy kingdom is a right scepter. Thou lovest righteousness and hatest wickedness. Therefore, Elohim, thy Elohim, have anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellows." This is the anointed servant, which is to be anointed in the latter days to begin the work of harvesting the set apart ones from the houses of Israel for the glory of Yahuwah. Verse 8, "All thy garments smell of myrrh, aloes, and cassia out of the ivory places, whereby they have made thee glad. King's daughters were among thy honourable women." Daughters, women in Scripture is symbolic of churches or religions. "Upon thy right hand did stand the queen in gold of Ophir." The queen can represent the Shekinah glory, also the house, the combined houses of Israel, making up God's truth of Revelation chapter 12, where it says in Revelation 12 verse 1, "Beheld a wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars." And then she faces the dragon. She's ready to face the dragon. Verse 10, "Hearken, O daughter," this is this daughter, "consider and incline thine ear, forget thine own people and thy father's house. So shall the king greatly desire your beauty, for he is thy Lord, and worship thou him, the daughter of Tyre, this pagan religions. The daughter of Tyre shall be there with a gift, even the rich among the people shall entreat thy favour. The king's daughter is all glorious within, her clothing is wrought gold. She shall be brought unto the king in raiment of needlework. The virgins, the set apart ones, her companions that follow her, shall be brought unto thee. With gladness and rejoicing shall they be brought. They shall enter the king's palace. Instead of thy fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, shall be our children. Our children, we're going to be made as high as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were in the eyes of our children. And it says here, whom thou mayest make princes in all the earth during the 1,000-year millennium. There will be rulers and princes and kings and priests ruling over the heathen. I will make thy name to be remembered in all the generations during the 1,000-year millennium. Therefore shall the people praise thee forever and ever. Read Psalm 45, study it in your own time, because it's one of the most powerful psalms in the scriptures. So if we go back to Revelation 6, we can clearly see a picture developing. We can see the first two horses. I'm going to start from verse 2. So when we read it now, we saw a white horse rider. We know that as that anointed Mashiach, who's to stand at the latter days. He's got a bow. The bow is the one who, the bow is the first one, the first house he's given to work with. Yehuda is to assist him. This is what it says. And that's made clear in Hosea, the book of Hosea. I do believe it's chapter Hosea. It says in Hosea 6 verse 11, also Yehuda, he have set an harvest for thee when I return the captivity of my people. So Yehuda is to assist the anointed servant in harvesting this from the second house, which is the house of Ephraim. And so that's who the bow is. It's Yehuda. The crown, obviously, is a king, and they are to go forth conquering and to conquer. That's what the truth's going to do. There's going to be no failures this time. It's going to bring about what Yahuwah intended. The word is to be a powerful instrument which will accomplish all that was written in it. And this is why the second horse, and there went out another horse that was red. Red is it's sin, because this is what, and blood, this is a nasty work, because it's the time of it's what's going to separate all the rebels. Power's given him that sat there on to take peace from the earth. As Yeshua said, I've not come to bring peace but a sword. There's no peace coming. No peace coming for Israel. No peace coming from the world. This is the time of Jacob's time of trouble. And they will kill one another. There was given unto him a great sword. So, the first two seals there are very important. We will be dealing with the rest of the seals. And we will be going into the seventh seal, which every other seal will be dealt with in its own time. So thanks very much for listening, and until we catch up again with the next seals. Shalom.